Hey guys, welcome to Bradley's Reviews and How-Tos. We're just going to be installing a used bumper on the back of this 2015 Mazda 3. A little backstory if you're interested. Someone rear-ended my girlfriend in the shop that was supposed to fix it. Didn't put in all the clips. They said it was another shop's responsibility from when someone else rear-ended us. And so we had to take it back to their shop. Before we could get it back to the other shop, because all the clips weren't in, it got sucked off down the road. So it broke the seal on these taillights. These seals on the taillights pretty much had to come off anyways, because there's a screw right here. The bumper goes into anyways. So you're gonna need new seals. So that's something to keep in mind. For your taillights, I'm just going to use butyl rubber. I'm assuming it's going to work fine. It's worked fine on my car. Butyl rubber, when you get to like the tacky stuff, it goes by a couple different names, but pretty much it's not supposed to really stick to plastic, but it sticks well enough. And when you stick those taillights in and clamp them down, what it's going to do is it's going to seal them closed. So I'm going to do that last. You obviously want to clean your taillights. You want to clean your car. Before you seal that. I also just clean this just in case there's any like road chemicals that wouldn't normally get back here. Usually I can see dust and stuff working its way around the bumper, but anything that I can't reach with a water hose, once the bumper's back on, I wanted to clean it. So yeah, so that's our bumper story. I lost our bumper that way. There's people who if you come to Texas and you're like, they're bad drivers, let me say this. Texas is my home state. I've lived here all my life, driven all over the nation. And while we have some bad drivers, all states have bad drivers. And I think a lot of them are coming to Texas. So y'all come to Texas, y'all learn how to drive. So that said, we're gonna do used bumper. We can't get any bumpers right now because the whole California shipping crisis that's affecting the whole nation. So we could probably get one eventually. But right now we need one to pass vehicle inspection. So obviously you see there's no structural damage, obviously, because all we did was lose the bumper cover. If you have damage, you're gonna have to come and remove these bolts right here. You can probably get that from a junkyard. The great thing about these Mazdas between 2013 and 2018 is maybe when the video, by the time you watch this, maybe they're not as new, but right now they're still junkyard parts, assuming it hasn't already been pulled by someone. A lot of junkyards, you got to be careful because they're going to pull half the parts and then they're going to give you entry to give their leftovers, and they're giving them to body shops. So that's kind of a butt move to have you drive 45 minutes an hour and then charge you entry just to find out nothing's there. There's some places that do keep inventory, like the place that I actually found a bumper in, and they noted that that car was no longer with a rear bumper. Now it's not the prettiest bumper. It's a darker gray than this, but it's going to look pretty decent. So this is where the bumper is going to slip in these little clamps right here. There's a little plastic clip right here. You might need to replace that. I grabbed one from the junkyard just in case this one's not intact. Then down here, what's really interesting is there's these clips down here that you're just going to pull this little plastic clip out and then take this piece off, and it just kind of folds up. There are these little tabs that hang out from the bumper, and then it folds up. And then and when it folds, you screw it in, this part in together right here. There's a screw right here, and then you clip it in right here. So we're gonna figure that out together. There's a little square bracket, and then it gets pinched in right here, I think, because there's a screw or something that goes in right there. Then you have this nice heavy-duty clip that goes along the side here, and then it kind of just slips in on this like inner fender piece. And this inner fender piece is gonna have a screw and like a plastic lock nut that you can actually turn by hand. So I just removed that plastic lock nut, take that screw out. I should be able to take out this whole piece. So when I went to the junkyard, rather than disassembling this piece from the bumper, I just left it connected. I only really needed this piece, but it's less for me to have to disassemble and reassemble. So if they'll sell you the bumper with these attached, just go ahead and do it. Save yourself some trouble. If not, save yourself some money and just take them apart. So just a watching game at this point, guys. Hang in there. Oh, let's go to the headlights real quick, or taillights. Now you can see there's this foam. I hope that it's coming up on camera all right. So there's this foam right here, and it's got a ticky tack on both sides, and then foam obviously can get wet and deteriorate over time. That hasn't happened to this foam yet. I don't know if they replaced it when we had it in the body shop, if they just thought, hey, well, we'll just press it down and it will seal, or if when the bumper came off, if it pulled on the taillight. Now, considering it's just a small little tab right here, I have a hard time thinking it broke the whole seal to the taillight. So I think they didn't replace it, which kind of pisses me off, which is why I do most of my own car work. So you can see how it is. It's one kind of solid piece, but the reality is when you take that off, you're just gonna have a little rim. And so I was just interested in cleaning the top of the rim, not really the edges, because that's just extra work I don't need to do. So right there, there's a little bit of foam right there, so I'm just gonna start the butyl there, loop all the way around, and come back to here. You want to do it just a little bit thicker than that foam, so when you press it down, it will squeeze out, make a nice tight seal against this plastic. I'm not worried about the foam on the edges. Up here, you may or may not be able to see a little dark rim. That's the old foam mixed with the Tiki Tac plastic. All the foam itself came off when I washed it and scrubbed it. Plastic razor blades are always nice. Blue Brillo also is going to be gentler than a green if you wanted to try a blue Brillo. I obviously don't want to mess up the paint, so I'm not going to go crazy at it. The way I see it is it's sticking there, so it's not coming off. So there's enough little porous spots and gaps that when that butyl sticks down, it's going to make that seal. And if I ever have to remove them again and I pull that butyl rubber off, it's probably going to have a bubble gum effect where I pull it and it pulls that dark stuff off. So it kind of cleans the paint a little. So now you know what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and clean the other side, and that way it can start drying. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this bumper install, and y'all can just watch, and I'll point to clips as I go. There's little tabs. Just stick a screwdriver in there, pop the middle piece out, and then what will happen is the legs that hook will push in when you pull out. You see how it's rounded, and then if it squeezes in when you pull it and push it, but if this pin is in it, you can't squeeze it in. And when you try to pull pins out with these little tabs, sometimes it starts to bend a little, and you can't really reuse it. So fortunately, what I was able to do is when this was pushed up from the top, I was able to just stick my screwdriver down and push it down this way. That way I can reuse this pin. I'm pretty confident I salvaged one, but just in case I didn't, I want to save my clips. It's always good to just make a box of old clips, so if you ever need them. Your little screwdriver in here. I'm gonna, not screwdriver, but screw. I'm just gonna pull that out and save that for later. So here's my junkyard clip, and I was right. The existing clip is not in good shape, broken off on the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just crack it out. There's actually clips, so if you want to practice getting the clips out, so that way if you ever have to remove it in the future, you can. I've already successfully pulled one from a junkyard car, so I'm not too worried. I just want it out and out of my way. Don't force it though, because you'll bend the metal. Square screw holes go into, oh look, the little square. Make sure I grab the right ones. I did. There we go. Perfect. There we go. This is where maybe leaving those side pieces on is going to make it difficult. back and forth. And it just actually just slips in as long as you pull the bumper properly without damaging it. I got it up, I'm not going to force it, I'm going to come back over here. Now if you need to, move one of these screws so this fender piece can kind of open up a little bit. So I'm going to move the one closest back to the bumper. Well, I don't have the right size, but it is a Phillips. The other one on the left side actually was missing this nut, which is why it flared open easier. You know what? That's not going to work. It's not the right size. Yep, it's an 8, guys. Alright guys, these 2 little screws that I pulled for the headlights, they're a Star Allen, just FYI. It's a T25 I believe, according to the Star Allen. Alright, rather than letting these hang, I'm going to go ahead and finish these. It's got all these little tabs on the side. They just break. This piece is still kind of good. It's just missing one tab, so you know, a rock ever hits it and breaks it, I'll have it in the garage. Just gonna throw it in a box of spare parts. Eventually, at some point, you have to clear the garage out and decide which ones are less likely and which ones aren't, so to be needed. Now, the last people who repaired the bumper, they used wrong screws and parts like that, and so I'm going to use OEM parts that I got from a salvage car. These screws actually have a nice little washer to spread out its forces across the plastic so it can't rip through and pull out. So I saved screws. And if they used the wrong size screws, they could have potentially made the plastic clip where it threads into bigger. So it's important that you save as many attachment pieces as possible when you're pulling a bumper.
This is where you're going to put the screw slash bolt on underneath, as well as the little plastic nut to secure this inner fender area.
Remember to wear these. Don't leave the sun bright, the stuff's falling on my face right now. You don't want that in your eyes. If you live in an area with like dangerous insects, maybe spray your car down with spider spray. When I was rebuilding an engine, I had a black widow right beside my head, just hanging out.
You have 2 screws to install on either side. This is just me getting that bolt slash screw on the other side now. I'm just reinstalling the 2 clips to secure the bumper to the frame. I do not need to use those screws to secure the bumper to itself where it folds, because this bumper still had it on there from when I pulled it from the junkyard.
It's a 3M butyl rubber for a windshield. It comes with little clips and things, and I actually ordered the one that didn't come without the clips before, and it was not in good condition. So I just pay extra for these little things. They're spacers. You put this butyl rubber down, you put these down. I think they're supposed to keep the windshield from slipping down or something. And the butyl rubber goes in, and then my assumption is that you probably have like a urethane seal outside of that. So why this would be necessary is maybe just like an added measure. So if the urethane ever gets old, not really clear on it. This isn't the main thing that holds the window down though, so as far as I know. But I really like this particular packaging. I just keep getting it online, and it's great for, you know, things like that. So it was also really great when I was doing like I completely gutted my other car and redid the carpet and things like that, and so I was able to go through and find like little factory holes that had old butyl rubber on them, but it was drying out. I mean, after 20 years it's going to dry out, and I was able to go and redo it all, so I got another 20 years. But yeah, it feels nice and tacky. Love it. In a second, you know what's really interesting is it's flat too, so I can put that flat edge right across it. It's just a little bit thicker than the foam. It will spread out real well. There we go, guys. So put a little crisscross right there. You don't have to. And then you see it can roll to the side a little bit, so I kind of pressed it down. I don't want to press it down too much because I want it to compress and fit to everything nice and tight. Just press it down enough so it can't roll when I'm pressing it in and screwing these down. Keep in mind when you pull this out, there's a little round clamp. Hope you guys can see this and I'm not doing this in vain. Okay, so there's a little hook right here on the end of the light. So don't pull out like this. It has to come straight out. If you pull out, you're gonna break the end of this and it won't properly secure. You don't want any wind or drag or this warping out over time. $10mm, guys. Hopefully you can find yours. Now, if my phone dies, if it hasn't already, tires go back on. Jack point is, you can see the coil right here, right in the middle here. There's a little bump. That's part of the frame. That's your jack point. Put your tires back on, properly torque them down, and then lower your car back down, and you're good to go, guys. Obviously, I'm going to finish these, squeeze them on. I don't think I have enough battery, so you're not going to see the rest of it.